Good morning, class, and welcome back. I apologize for the loud crows behind me, but it's a nice day out, so I thought I would record this outside again. I just want to give you some brainstorming help with starting your memoir because that's really the first step of all creative writing is to just get a bunch of ideas going, and then once you have many ideas, you can select the one that you want to focus on. So let's just go through these together. Um, get some paper out, a pencil, and maybe pause the video after I read one of them and start writing down everything that comes to mind. That's how we brainstorm. And then at the end, we'll be able to move forward from that. So um, remember your central question that I want to guide through you. That didn't make sense. The one question that should be your guide through this assignment is, what is God teaching you through this season? And answering that is kind of how you tell your story. So the first question that I have on my list, what is one positive that has come into your life lately? You could call it a blessing. You could call it an upshot to a sad downturn. Um, Try to think through all of the blessings or positives, the highs that have come from this interesting season. Next, think about your response to the beginning of the crisis. What was your first reaction? How did you feel? What would you tell your former self now that you've seen the last 2 months? So really slow down to think about this question because, man, oh man, when I think back to my first impression of this all, it was totally different than what it is now. I have a sister that lives in Hong Kong, and of course, that was closer to where the outbreak actually started months and months ago. So now it's my perception of this virus is very different. I took it seriously, but it was across the globe. Now it's in my own neighborhood, within my own circles of people that I know. So my perception is drastically changed. Third question, what are the unanswered questions you still wish God would explain? It's important to think that it's not like we're past all this, right? It's not a trial of the past. We're still in the middle of it. We're living through it, as we've said many times. So, what are the questions that are still nagging at you, that maybe the irresolved things in your life, unresolved things that are bothering you? That um, those are good things to bring to the front of this, even if there's still a prayer of what you wish could happen. Number 4, when your whole family began living together all day, for most of you, how did you all get along? What did it teach you about the people that are closest to you? So, it's not always easy when people are squished inside of a house for a long time. Think a road trip. When you go on a road trip, you have to get along with those people for an extended amount of time. And then this virus, in a sense, has put us all in a long road trip just in our homes. We're not going anywhere, there's no end in sight, and you're just expected to all get along in a very small area. Now, of course, you can go on walks and things like that, and you should, but in a sense, it still feels like that extended road trip. Number 5, the opposite of this. What did you learn about your friends by suddenly having them out of reach? So it's the end of the school year. Usually this is a time where you're always with your friends, right? Even in class, we make more time, social time for you guys in the springtime. And then summer. Summer is, you're never at home. Um, at least I liked being outside all the time when I was your age and hanging out with friends. Um, so now that's kind of been ripped away from you. And you might realize something about your friends, like how much you want to be close to them. That's a perfectly fine thing to write about for this paper as well. Let's move on to the number 6. What did this teach you about society and its ability to respond and adapt to major issues like this? How have you become an active part of making a difference? So this is both personal and societal. Societal because you might have not thought that humans living in a big city like we do can whip into shape. That we can change our behavior so suddenly. But man, this thing was instant. And once it got going, and there were all of um, these new rules in place, how the NBA just closed down, and then big institutions like schools closed up. It's amazing how much society can work together if we need to. So maybe that has offered some new insight to you, um, at like the capacity for humans to actually make a difference and work together. And maybe you've worked into that in your own behavior in the last few months. Maybe you have joined a cause, or you've donated something, or you've volunteered someplace. Um, yeah, or you've even joined in praying for the world. That could be a part that you could influence society, and reflect on that in this memoir. So, when you've processed through these, write down your initial thoughts, and then open up a Word document and start writing. A good starting point to approaching the whole of this assignment would be to acknowledge what you felt before it all happened. So, think back, when we were still in our classes and we were still showing up at school, and how you felt then, and what your expectations for the end of the school year were, and then jump forward, day by day or month by month, how those expectations were changed. And then you kind of get a memoir going, because you are comparing your old self to your new self, which is some really interesting stuff to write about and read. And then finally, after you've um, gone through that process, you should compare how your expectations were confirmed or not met. And you'll find out how much you're surprised. Like I said before, when this started coming along, and we were still meeting, I assigned you that speech because I thought we would be back like April 3rd. That was, that was March 17th when that happened. And I still had all of these expectations that we'd be right back at school in just a matter of days. It would be like a snow day type situation. But that was not the case. So even my and all your other teachers' expectations had to be shifted as we moved along the season. So seize the moment and capture how you're feeling today. Write it on some paper, and that'll help us get going with the memoir. I'll keep giving short clips going on through the week as this memoir gets completed. Remember to turn in just a short, like 10-second clip of you reading your favorite line from the memoir when you get that far, because then I'll be able to compile all those into a montage for our graduation, which will be awesome. Looking forward to that. Okay, I'll see you guys later.